Rock, metal, prog, and everything in between. If you're into rock, you've come to the right place. Welcome to this episode of Talkin Rock with Meltdown. Don't forget to follow the audio-only Talkin Rock podcast on all podcast platforms. And now, it's time for today's conversation. Here's Meltdown.
As I was telling you before we started, it's so cold here. Actually, our heater system isn't working properly, so I'm actually in a totally different studio today, so...
Oh, wow. It's usually the other way. That in the summer, the AC goes down and everyone's sweating. But obviously in the winter, when it goes down, it's the opposite. But I feel your pain, man. It's pretty cold down here too.
Yeah, so you're in the middle part of the country there, and you snowed in, or you too cold down there, or what's going on?
Yeah, we are snowed in. I mean, fortunately, we got some supplies and we knew it was coming, and we don't have to go anywhere. We've kind of hunkered down for a day or so. Going over some new material for the new tour. It always helps to have a couple of days off anyway, you know?
Yeah. Before we get into the new record and stuff, so did you celebrate your birthday down there?
I did, yes. My birthday was on New Year's Day. And it's always a tough one for people after New Year's Eve celebrations. You know, you might be nursing a bit of a hangover, but I had some great friends. My other half, she put together like a surprise party for me here. And I turned up and they were all there. And it was a great surprise. We had a good time.
Oh, that's cool. Did any of the guys from the band show up?
No, they didn't actually. Everyone was away. Rob's over in Phoenix. Scott was somewhere else, and the other guys are in the UK. Okay. But I had some good friends there. My other half's father, George Lynch, was there with his wife, and we hadn't seen him for a while, so that was good.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about George Lynch, your connection with him. That Wicked Sensation record was always one of my favorites of the 90s. That record is so good.
I wish I could tell you the same thing. I wasn't really aware of anything like that. I was kind of into, the hair and spandex thing. I didn't really get, I wasn't into it. So when, George, he gets people to stop him and, we will be in a bar or wherever we are and people will stop him, and I wish I knew what they were talking about. I don't really know anything. Maybe that helps though, that I wasn't a fanboy. We get on really well, but we always go guitar shopping, and there's always someone in the guitar shop that recognizes him. It's great fun.
So, well, when Talkin, when Talkin like kind of broke up or whatever, Don did his solo record, which I thought was okay, but George did his solo record, like I said, which I thought was awesome. And I actually tracked down a vinyl copy of it about 5 years ago, and I had him sign it for me. And man, because that was right before everything changed, and that record's so chunky and so real, and it really resonated with me even all these years later.
Yeah, man. I mean, George is an incredible player. Not only an incredible player, but he's a unique player. Whatever he's done in the past, listening to it now and listening to him play now, he's still got those unique qualities that make, him so special and unique. And that's a valuable thing as a guitar player.
Now, with the new record and stuff, do you float him some demos, or do you give him a chance to listen to it, or no?
I don't think he's heard it. No, he sends me some tracks sometimes because he's so influenced by Priest. He's a massive Priest fan. So sometimes he sends me some demos that he's working on that were heavily influenced by Priest. So he loves it, man. But no, not the other way around. I don't think he's heard the new record yet. So it'll be interesting to hear his opinion on it.
Well, it's just curious because, my father-in-law, he's not a musician or nothing, but I'm always like, wanting to get his opinion on different things in my life and stuff. So it'd kind of be like the same thing with yours, but you guys are a little bit closer as far as what you guys do.
That's correct. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you don't want your parents to like it. Although he's not my parent, he's that sort of father figure. If your parents like it, you've got a problem. You know what I mean? Your parents need to dislike what you're doing for it to be cool. But no, he's a great source of, he's a great resource. We always talk a lot about guitars and guitar players. And obviously he's got the insight from someone who grew up at that time while it was all happening, really. So he's great to get information and experiences from.
Now, the new record comes out on March 8th. Andy Sneap, again, worked on this one with you guys?
He did, yeah. And I mean, Andy Sneap and Tom Allen as well on some of the tracks. Their involvement can't be overstated. I mean, they're so valuable as producers. They get the best out of you, not only on a technical level, but the vibe in the room, the atmosphere is created so that you can get the best performance out of yourself, So the record sounds great, and he pulled those performances out of all of us like he did on Firepower. So their involvement can't be overstated.
Yeah, I think I remember Rob telling me about one of the lines in Firepower he had to do over and over and over again, and they kind of pulled it out of him. Even a guy like
Yeah.
Metal God, like Rob Halford.
Well, there's not many people that you trust, especially someone like Rob. I can imagine not many people have the authority to tell you that's not good enough, do it again. Whereas Andy Sneap and Tom Allen, they've got the track record and the history that you can rely on, you can trust, and you know that if they say it's not good enough, do another one. They know you can do a better one, and you've got to trust their input and their instincts. And that's what's so valuable about producers like that.
Yeah, I was listening to Firepower today, and man, that was one of my favorite records that year. That record is so killer. I just dropped it on the turntable. Was it 2018? Is that correct? 6 years ago?
6 years ago. Where does the time go, man?
Yeah, right.
Uh,
Exactly.
6 years ago, and yeah, I put it on every now and again. It comes up on like a playlist, and I put some tracks on, and it's surprising, like it stood up. It holds up well. It was really well received, and it was my first experience really this time around to do a record with the guys that follows such a successful record. You got to follow it up, and that's sometimes a challenge, but it's a healthy challenge, I think.
No, I think I've been reading. I've only heard the two tracks so far, Panic Attack and Trial by Fire. But you've said this in the past, and I don't want to misconstrue your words, but maybe a little bit more progressive. But even the track Panic Attack, there's like two solos on it.
Yeah, so I think progressive means different things to different people. So it's not super complex, dream theater magic,
Right.
but I think it's complex in progressive in the way that there's some twists and turns, and it doesn't really follow any scripts if it doesn't have to. As you said, there's two solos in that one. There's a part in it that's 7/8 time. There's two kind of bridges. So it just goes out of the box a little bit without being unaccessible. That's what I mean. So I think compared with Firepower, it's a little bit more progressive, a few more twists and turns along the journey of the song.
So where does that come from? Was that in the writing process and the producers, or just organically?
Yeah, that was the stuff we were coming up with. When I come up with music, it's usually the riffs first. I sit down with the guitar, and the guitar kind of pulls it out of me, really, wherever it comes from. And it just so happened that some of those parts were a bit more unorthodox, time changey stuff or different time signatures. And the record takes on its own character by itself. As you write a record, you might have an idea of where you want to go, but the record takes on its own flavor by itself, and you go with that. You recognize where it's going and go with that. So that's what we were coming up with, and sort of went with that mindset, really.
How much of this stuff do you have input into now that you said you've been here for a little bit of time? As far as like you're writing with Rob Halford and Glenn Tipton and stuff like that. How much input do you have into the record?
Well, I mean, it's a fairly shared thing. I'm not a lyricist, and obviously Rob is. For example, me and Glenn write a lot of the guitar parts and musical parts, and Rob writes a lot of the vocals and vocal melodies. And Rob's got a great sense of phrasing as well. He might come in one day with like an idea for a song, and it's got some melody and it's got some timing, and you can attach yourself to that timing and come up with a riff. So it's kind of we get in a room like me and you put a band together, and what have you got and what have I got, and we put them together and come up with new songs, and it's fairly organic like that.
Yeah, if you and I put a band together, it would be disastrous. Your part would be awesome. My part would be disastrous, just so you know. So, but
Fair enough.
It'd be fun, I guess, to try. But tell me more about this record, because so far, like I said, I've only heard the two tracks. It's got, from what I see, it's got 11 tracks and 3 bonus tracks on some copies.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we wanted to keep it, around 10, 11 tracks on the main record. But the bonus tracks, we didn't want to put them on the shelf, never to see the light of day. We wanted to get them out. We wanted people to hear those as well without being part of the standard release, So we released everything we had in different formats. Yeah, it's a pretty intense record. There's no real moment where there's a ballad or something like that. It stays up there. So yeah, we're excited to, when you release a record, it's exciting. It's also scary at the same time, because, is it going to be well received or not? You never quite know when you let it out in the world. So it's an exciting time for sure.
Well, especially when you're in a band that has the history and the legacy of Judas Priest. They started before you were born, and you're carrying that torch now. And obviously as far as I can tell, the fans love you. So it's like, I think you kind of have like a little bit of a green card from those guys to do what you do.
I mean, I've been fortunate, and it's an honor really to be given that green light to do what I do. But you're in a position that you've got to respect the legacy as well. I've been incredibly fortunate that I've been accepted by the fans, and I can only thank them for that. So, but you can't rest on your laurels. You can't take any of that for granted. It's a band that's been going over half a century, but you can't rest on your laurels. You still got to, and they do it as well. You've got to produce to 1,000% of your ability. You've got to do it as well as you can, and give it everything, and that will never change.
Yeah, I was thinking about this earlier before I talked to you. It's like, you've been in the band for a while now, but did you ever think when you were listening to Painkiller as a kid that one day you would be like kind of talking about the band?
Of course not. I think you always aspire, you play like tennis rackets in front of the mirror, instead of guitar, you practicing shapes and poses, and you learn how to create songs. You learn how to play, obviously, but you always aspire to be as good as guys like this. But you never think you're going to get that phone call and have these conversations that we're having now about the third record that I've done with Judas Priest. It's mind-boggling, really. But as I said before, it's an honor to be there. It was an honor to be considered initially, but it's an honor to be there and for this long and be welcomed so well by the fans and the band. So I can only say thank you to everyone, really.
Yeah. How much did Glenn have input in this, and how's he doing?
He's doing all right. He has good days and bad days, as I think is the nature of the challenge that he's facing. Glenn, obviously, with those challenges, we had to work around it. So if he couldn't play when we were writing, if he had an idea that he couldn't play that day, he'd kind of talk to me and walk me through how it was supposed to go, and I'd play it. And it was the same on the recording process, really. If he could play the song, he'd play it. If he couldn't, then I'd take over, and that's how we did it. And I think everyone understands that as well with Glenn suffering from Parkinson's. I think they understand. For us, it was important he was involved. We had his mind involved. We had his creative mind involved. And that's what, part of the reason it makes it Judas Priest.
And then you guys played that Power Trip Festival. Did you guys did you guys tour a lot this year? I can't recall.
That was the only show we had this year.
Okay.
So we had a couple of days rehearsal, and then we got up to Power Trip, and it was about 105 degrees. It was really hot, and it's not the time to be wearing leather and studs, let me tell you that. It was a challenge, but it was great to get out the house, dust off the cobwebs, and play a show for the fans. There were a lot of fans there, and we were in great company as well. I mean, AC/DC, Metallica, Tool, Maiden, Guns N' Roses. I mean, it was a fantastic bill, and we were all stoked to be a part of it.
Yeah, I remember now. It's coming back to you. So Ozzy was supposed to play, and then Ozzy had to cancel, and you guys took Ozzy's spot, correct? Is that how it worked?
That's correct. Yeah, we were supposed to be out with Ozzy earlier on last year as well, and
right.
Same thing. He had to postpone it and cancel the tour. And the same thing happened at Power Trip. So he pulled out, and they asked us if we could do it, and we gladly accepted.
And so the video for Panic Attack is pretty much just footage from Power Trip, and that's where you guys kind of announced the Invisible Shield album, and Glenn made an appearance and everything.
Yeah, it was a perfect opportunity, really. It was on the world stage, if you know what I mean. Everyone was watching that festival. Priest have always flown the flag for heavy metal and British heavy metal, and the more people we can bring to the cause, the better. So we saw Power Trip as a great way to announce the new record, and in such a positive and creative and musical way. So it was a perfect opportunity, really.
And I don't know if you saw it, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw Kirk and James from Metallica jamming out to you guys on a video that somebody posted on the web. Did you see that?
Yeah, it's great. We saw them down the front, and it kind of it makes you pull your socks up a bit when you've got people like that watching you. But they're massive Priest fans, as I am, So it was great. I think they were there the whole weekend, checking out the bands that they love and grew up on. And it's great that they haven't lost that passion for the bands that they love, So it was great to see them there and see the guys.
Yeah, they played 2 shows here in Detroit, as they did a bunch of places around the country, and they are still a machine. They're hard to top.
Oh, it's mega. Metallica is, again, like, talk about bringing people in. They've kind of crossed over now into the mainstream, in a way that no other metal band has. I think they bring metal to the masses on a massive scale, and you can only look to them for inspiration, like how they do things and how they handle not their music, but how they handle the band, and what they do in terms of production and how they do things video wise. And they've always been ahead of the curve, I think, and all that stuff since they've been doing it.
Yeah, I guess there's certain things that you just have to have in a Judas Priest show. One of them would be like the Harley Davidson stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But then every once in a while you gotta kind of integrate some other things in there.
It's hard, it's again, like I said before, it's a challenge, but it's a good challenge to have. Set list. What songs do you do? What songs do you leave out? You're always going to include someone's favorite and take someone else's favorite away. It's a careful balance, and the production's no different. What are we going to do this time that's quote unquote bigger, better, more of a different experience than what we did before? So the bike has got to be there, but how can we make it different for the fans that are going to come out again this time? Obviously, we've got new songs, we've got a new stage set, and it's going to be an exciting tour.
How many newer songs you think you might incorporate, or you don't have any idea yet?
I think we're working on 3 or 4 initially. Again, that's a careful balance. You can have too many. You forget that we've been living with these songs for a while, but you forget that no one else has. They don't know them, and you can lose a crowd. If you play too many new songs that they don't know, you can lose them a little bit. So it's a careful balance. We normally start off with 3 or 4, and then we swap them out as we go through the tour. Firepower, we did 9, I think, over the course of the tour. 9 from the record, not all at once, obviously.
Okay, yeah. I don't remember that.
Yeah, we throughout the tour we chopped and changed around 9 songs, but that was an indication really of how well received Firepower was. People knew the stuff. We didn't lose them, so that was a great indicator.
Yeah. What's a song that you like really look forward to in the set every night? What is something that you can't wait for it to arrive?
I like Victim of Changes. That's just such an epic, classic Priest track. I'm looking forward to this one. I think we're going to open the show. I think Panic Attack, to me, seems like a perfect opener for a show. It's got the intro. You can imagine it in your head, the visual. We haven't locked down the set list yet, but I'm looking forward to maybe starting with that song. There's songs like Killing Machine that I love to play. Even Turbo Lover, Turbo Lover is such a great live song. Everyone sings it, and it's such a catchy song. So, dude, there's so many, man. There's so many great songs. You can't really pick one favorite.
Yeah. How's your health, by the way? All good?
Doing okay. As far as I'm aware, you never know what's around the corner, do you? As I found out. But no, I've had a great support system, both at home and with the doctors and nurses and surgeons and stuff. So I got through it, and I seem to be doing okay. My heart's fine, and everything seems to be in order.
And what about Elegant Weapons? What's going on with that band?
Well, obviously this year is going to be a busy Priest year.
Right.
So we're looking at maybe when that winds down, we're working on the second Elegant Weapons record now. It's already started to be recorded and tracked and stuff. So hopefully, when the Priest machine winds down on this tour, we'll look at releasing that record for Elegant Weapons.
Yeah. By the way, I love that the Falcon picture right above you. Obviously, one of your namesakes there, I guess, huh?
Yeah, it's the artist is a good friend of mine. He did the Firepower front cover.
Oh, okay.
And I asked him to do me a piece of art, and he did that, and I framed it. I think it's such an appropriate. At the time, I was going through some health things, and I felt like I was coming back, and that was kind of an appropriate image that he did. So I framed it and put it in the studio as a reminder, that of lots of things. You know what I mean?
I got you. Yeah, no, that's really killer. That album. The album cover, by the way, is killer. And you and I both come from this school where album covers and stuff kind of mean a lot to us. So that's important.
It's part of the whole thing, isn't it? The name of the record, the artwork, the meaning behind it. It all, in context, it all blends together. The music, the visuals, the sentiment, it all blends together. And that's the first thing you saw when you go in a record shop and you see a record. It's the artwork. You might not know the band even, but the artwork's cool, and you buy it and take it home and give it a spin. That was part of the charm, I think. And that's why vinyl's come back, and it's kind of staying.
Yeah, my first record I bought was Ride the Lightning, and before I really even knew much about Metallica, and I still have that record I bought. What was yours?
That's a great question. Do you know, I remember the first single I bought was It was a pop song when I was young. It was like an 80s pop song. I think it was Anika, a little Japanese boy it was called, I think. But the first record, no, exactly. But the first metal record I remember buying, I think it was either Power Slave or there was a picture disc of Iron Maiden's Be Quick or Be Dead. It's something like that. Or it might have been Somewhere in Time. I'm not sure, but I think it might have been a Maiden record for sure.
I was going to pick Maiden because, when you talk about album covers, Maiden obviously had that market kind of cornered back when we were kids.
Absolutely. I mean, you can sit and look at those album covers for days. Power Slave. There's lots of Easter eggs in there, lots of secrets, and Somewhere in Time as well. You can go through that album cover and there's references to different things. It's genius, really. I mean, fair play to them.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, the record drops on March 8th, Invisible Shield with Judas Priest. Richie, thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to seeing you shredding back here in Detroit sometime maybe this year.
It's a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me. Look forward to seeing you later in the year.